part of that huge cock that kind of reminds you of the Yankees from the '90s, like Posada and all the others as well too. It's just like
and O'Neill
just
and
amazing.
Williams
Yes,
and Jeter.
Yes, that's right.
It'll be an interesting year. Hey, man, I love loved having you on my podcast a while back, and I love being a guest on your podcast. I hope we could continue to do this and enrich each other's lives.
Yes, that's right too. And of course, I'll be on TLBTV and talking about the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox, and of course, like I mentioned about the Chicago Cubs, that they came within one game of knocking off Colorado. They lost in extra innings, lost to the Brewers in extra innings, and just three heartbreaking losses in a row. It's like, they lost the first in extra innings to force into a tiebreaker. They lose the tiebreaker. They get into the wild card. They lose that in extra innings. It was just a heartbreaker all across the board. But I think they're just ready to go. And of course, they had the news that Ian Happ, one of their star players, who last year hit an opening day home run against the Fish, looking to be impressive. He got sent down because they need him with more at bats. There was just not enough room in a crowded roster already in Chicago. And I remember a one-time Met, Daniel Murphy, had actually helped the Cubs to get into the promised land, but then he got signed away. I think the Nationals picked him up, or I'm trying to think it was Atlanta or some team. So I'm just trying to remember right now who Murphy went to.
I can't help you there. I had a little brain stoppage. So Daniel Murphy's name is a Met fan. First he went to Washington, then he went to the Dodgers, and has come back and hurt the Mets an awful lot. He really came into his own after leaving. And we've had some very frustrating years, tapped off by 2 frustrating years of injuries. I'm glad this year they're solid. I'm glad they have depth, and I'm glad they kept that pitching staff together.
Yeah, yes, that's right too. And of course, I was going to get to more about the Mets fans as well too. That I forgot to mention as well too before you throw me a knuckleball in terms of the Hall of Fame. With watching the Brooklyn Giants and New York Giants, the Brooklyn Dodgers throughout the years. And which stadium do you think held most dearest to your heart, and which one did you actually like better? Was it the Ebbets Field, the Giants Stadium, or Yankee Stadium?
Interesting you say that, because in that year that I talked about, 1951, when I was a very little impressionable kid who picked up on baseball right away, my grandfather not only took me to the Polo Grounds, but he took me to Ebbets Field, and across the street, across Prospect Boulevard, there was a big apartment building that his sister, my great-aunt Sonny, she wasn't all that great. She complained a lot. She had gas, but nevertheless, an aunt. And she lived right across the street. And I remember, I'm 4.5 years old, and I remember him pointing up, that's where Aunt Sonny lives. And then he took me to Yankee Stadium, and he said, look out, the guy playing center field. That's Joe DiMaggio. It's his last year. You'll never see him play again, but you'll always be able to say, you saw Joe DiMaggio play. Wow. I saw Willie. I saw DiMaggio that first year. I obviously saw Duke Snider, although I don't remember him, but I saw Aunt Sonny's apartment building across the street from Ebbets Field. I'm blessed. My grandfather gave me a passion, and I want to ask you, who passed on your passion to you, Mike?
I would probably say I kind of picked up the game myself, because my dad, from a business trip in Chicago, came home with a Chicago Cubs hat that was given to him by Ferguson Jenkins, or I call him Fergie Jenkins, one of my favorite players.
Yes.
Yes, Fergie, my favorite player. Oh, my goodness. It was like the Cubs played just for fun back then. Although they lost so many games, they're called the lovable losers for good reason. I was living in Racine. I was a Brewer fan just out of just being casual, because the fact that they had a team and it was something to watch, I kind of picked up myself. And it's just like, the Brewers were having a bad year and the Cubs, not any better. But then I looked, it's like the Cubs were actually more fun to watch. And I have to say this, I think we're getting into the 70s a little bit. I remember 1976, just being at the height of it. I'm just kind of giving away my age here as well, too, that in grade school on July 4th, when they were playing the Dodgers, I remember that flag burning incident in center field, and Rick Monday came out and saved the flag, and he was like the hero of Los Angeles back in the day, although he was played for the Cubs. And it was like, and then every time he came back to L.A., they all cheered for Rick Monday because he saved an American flag. And I remember him as a player. I mean, he was just consistent all across the board, never complained. A lot of Cubs never complained, although they're losing, just came out and enjoyed the game. And that's how a lot of them did, too. And of course, Bruce Sutter first came in 76, and look where he's at right now with, revolutionizing the forkball. They call it the split finger. And Jose Cardinal was on there. Jerry Morales was a star in the Cubs with a basket grab, and he later played for your Mets in, I think, 82 or something like that, and did pretty well over at Shea Stadium. So I remember that.
He was a pretty good ball player. You have an excellent memory, Mike. That's terrific.
Yeah, yes, it is. And of course, I was going to ask you about too with
Modest too.
Yes, that's right. They had that, and I think Rick Russell pitched for the Cubs, and his brother Paul also pitched. He was a reliever, and the Russell brothers, still to this day, were the first brothers to pitch a complete game shutout they did against the Dodgers. And I watched it, and it's like, it was just an amazement. They didn't do it just for publicity. Rick just happened to give out after 5 innings, and Paul was willing to finish up, and history was made against the Dodgers, 6-0. And it's like, what brothers can get out there and pitch these days? It's like you don't see any brothers pitching.
No, you don't. That's very true. What you do see is a lot of kids of former major leaguers. I don't know if you're following Vlad Guerrero's son, who is injured now, but he's going to make a big impression in the big leagues quickly.
I remember watching him as well, too, and by the time he was ready to put up some more big numbers, he got hurt and recovering and everything else. And, of course, everybody made the big deal about Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. playing together on the same day, same batting order, same field and everything. Of course, everybody knows where that went. And I'm also trying –
let me tell you a quick Ken Griffey Jr. story.
Okay.
I was the Topps representative in the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. And I would go to the minor leagues and sign players to their Topps contract, guaranteeing Topps to have their permission to use their picture on baseball cards when and if they made the major leagues. Uh-huh. And I was in Bellingham, Washington, and signed a then 17-year-old Ken Griffey to a contract. We had to send it to his dad to co-sign because he wasn't of age. And I got to meet him in Bellingham when he was in the first year he played in the Northwest League. Happy to say.
My, that is something. And, of course, look where that got him, too. And, of course, I was going to offshoot as well, too. Remember the 1976 Cincinnati Reds, Ken Griffey Sr. being part of it. Of course, you had Pete Rose, Davey Concepcion, one of my favorite players. And, of course, you had George Foster and Johnny Bench and also, and you also had the pitchers. You had Don Gullett and Pedro Borbon. And I've got a really good Pedro Borbon story to tell you later down the road. I mean, that group was just the most unstoppable bunch. Back then, the Big Red Machine.
Right. Absolutely. Known more for their hitting than their pitching.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Although you did pick out two of their stars to talk about, but they were overshadowed by what a lineup. Johnny Bench, D. Rose, Concepcion, Perez, Griffey in the outfield. My mind is stuck on Griffey. So you tell me who the other outfielders were, and we could call it a day.
Well, we could probably look that up as well, too. And, of course, we'll talk a little more about the Mets as well, too. Listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. Powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking a budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Evan Fine of the Senior Reserve Group. When you start thinking about retirement, who are you going to call about Medicare? Why call the best? Evan Fine of Senior Reserve Group specializes in Medicare, health, and long-term care insurance. Evan can be reached at 1-800-650-9357. That's 1-800-650-9357. Or email to evanfine@seniorreservegroup.com. Evan is licensed in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Delaware, South Carolina, and Florida. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. Also, check our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can also download and listen on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and watch the interview on YouTube as well. We're here with the Zig-Zag Man, Ralph Tyko, and he's been New York City born and raised, living in Alameda, California, owner of ComfortablyZoneRadio.com, and he's also be coming to TLBTV very soon. We've been talking a lot of baseball. And, of course, I was just going to, get to the New York Mets, and we're talking a lot of baseball here. And when Shea Stadium was built in 1962, what were some of your thoughts when it got first built? And when you were in it, it's like, what did you like and dislike about Shea Stadium?
Well, actually, it was built in 1964.
1964. I'm sorry. I was thinking 62 when the Mets were started.
They played at the Polo Grounds those first 2 years. And I grew up about a mile and a half from Shea Stadium and played hooky on opening day to go to the game. And I was there. They played the Pirates opening day at Shea Stadium. And it was a cookie-cutter ballpark, built along the same lines as many in their day. It had very little personality, must say, other than the memories that were generated. It was terrific for us. It was state of the art in 1964, and it coincided with the World's Fair being in Flushing Meadows, and they were right next door to Shea Stadium. And as a 16, 17-year-old kid, it was great to get the Mets back, get National League Baseball back. And it certainly was fun having the Mets play a mile and a half from where you live.
That is amazing, too. And, of course, not only Shea Stadium had all the memories of the Mets, the World Series and everything, you also had the Beatles, and you also had Billy Joel playing concerts and special events as well, too. And, of course, imagine at the time, just having the Fab Four, just play right in your own backyard back in the day. So
Absolutely. They opened it up, and, boy, good memories. You're bringing it back for me. It's a little nostalgia.
Yes, that's right, too. And, of course, with the Mets, back in the day where it's like you had about, 10,000 fans and everything else. And it's like, did you guys try to sneak up on the very upper deck, and how to feel being up there? It's like there were some mixed reviews. And I said, I kind of want to try Shea out, just go way up there like on a regular day or something. So.
Yeah. I don't.